Hello students, welcome to PCS Prelims Booster Course of Civil Service Gurukul Academy. So as promised, we are starting with a fresh course in which our main focus is students who are aspiring for October 26 prelims. So in this time frame, every weekday at 11:30 a.m. you will see one video on our channel in which main focus would be to just highlight 50 probable themes which are expected from prelims point of view. So you can just note down key points, or even if you don't want to note down, you could just have a short quick look at the topic which is being discussed and make sure you are able to decode the prelims perspective of that given topic. So on average 5 topics per week would be uploaded, and we will try to cover diverse themes as mentioned in prelims, right from the world history, science and tech, environment, polity, geography, IR dimensions. So basically it will be a mix of topics. So I, Dr. Vivek Rana, is starting with science and tech theme for a start. So the first topic which we are decoding is of recent origin, because we know the space sector is one sector which always gives us something to ponder over and gives the bright spot in our scientific endeavors. Even though the current, you could say, couple of weeks have been dominated by Indo-US, you could say, tariff theme. We are fluctuating from 25 to 50% tariffs, and we are seeing, you could say, a dip in or friction in our relation. But there is a silver lining in those tough times, that there is one topic where India and US have collaborated for a larger good, and that's NISAR. So NISAR has been in news ever since it was announced few years back, and finally this is one of the missions of 2025 which has finally been executed successfully, and it's a, you could say, a breather for ISRO as well, because last couple of missions have seen setback for ISRO as an agency, and this 2025 year has not been as great as it used to be. But finally we are here to decode the NISAR satellite. From prelims perspective, first and foremost is the full form, what exactly this NISAR word stands for. So the acronym is just highlighting the name of the space agencies. So N stands for NASA, I stands for Indian Space Research Organization, and this SAR word is a technical term which is referring to synthetic aperture radar. So the name itself is giving you enough, you could say, theme for prelims. The synthetic aperture radars are specific type of radar which are designed primarily for advanced remote sensing, or you could say earth observation satellites. Even though in media these satellites are touted as that they are primarily being used for agriculture, disaster management, monitoring climate change, or more or less you could say for the civilian purpose, but you can never underestimate the true nature of synthetic aperture satellites. They are primarily for defense purposes. They can minutely determine exact details of any landform or anything, even at the level of centimeter. So basically, so that what makes this topic an important one. Make sure you revise your earth observation and remote sensing application topic first and foremost. Then coming to the mission life is not too elaborated one. It is going to be a targeted mission of 5 years of qualitative monitoring of Earth. So the timeline start away from 2025 to 2030. 2020 happens to be the year of Sustainable Development Goals, and even though the primary focus of the civilian dimension of this satellite is going to cater to multiple sectors which will augment in realizing those goals as well. Coming to the launch vehicle, there is a little bit, you could say, surprise. Instead of the workhorse of ISRO, which is Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, which is specifically designed for sending remote sensing satellites in low Earth or polar orbit, this time we had to rely on our GSLV, which is a positive news, because we all know GSLV does not have as good reputation as PSLV. Occasionally it suffers setbacks, but finally we are maturing as space agency, and the naughty boy of Indian space program, you could say GSLV, has finally been tamed of late. multiple times. So make sure you are sure about that. They might try to trick you into the PSLV theme. So basically the launch vehicle, the rocket which carried the satellite was Geosynchronous Satellite Launch Vehicle. F stands for Functional Series, the 16th mission. So why PSLV was not relied? Because this time this particular remote sensing satellite is the advanced remote sensing satellite. It's weighing more than 2000 kg. So PSLV typically can carry maximum payload of 1 to 2 tons, whereas GSLV can roughly carry up to 5 tons. So basically due to that weight, we had to rely on GSLV. Otherwise, if it had been a light Earth observation satellite weighing 1500 or 1600 kg, we might have relied on PSLV only. Then coming to the launch site, which happens to be an easy nut to crack, because in all such missions, the center spaceport which is relied is Satish Dhawan Space Center, which is in Sriharikota, Andhra Pradesh. And you know this is named after legendary scientist Satish Dhawan, who happened to lead Space Commission since its inception. So it's a kind of a tribute. So make sure you just look at the geographical map where exactly is Sriharikota. Don't try to confuse it with Wheeler Island or APJ Abdul Kalam Island, which is in state of Odisha. Then coming to the orbit, so basically for remote sensing, the preferred orbit continues to be the polar orbit or low Earth orbit, which roughly you could say hovers around 300 to less than 1000 kilometer. So in this case, the exact kilometer happens to be 747. No need to mug up the factual detail, but at least you should know that it's a sun synchronous polar orbit. It's a special type of polar or low Earth orbit which is synchronized with the sun, and it particular satellites passes through a pinpoint location after from pole to pole on specific parameter of time. So we'll be decoding that exact timeline, that how much time its particular satellite is likely to take to make a full round of a particular place, because this is quite detailed satellite which is likely to cover each and every single part of habitable part of Earth within a specific time frame of just 12 days. So that's what the highlight is, just which I have mentioned. So basically this particular Earth observation satellite having synthetic aperture radar, which can monitor every minute detail on Earth, whether it's day or night, whether it's raining or bright sunshine, whether it's having some vagary of natural calamity, it's likely to carry precise details because it's using sweep SAR technique, which is advanced technology in particular domain, which provides high resolution images in variety of parameters, which could be used for export as well as for you could say strategic planning, and it covers large array of data pinpoint with precision. And typically the main which they have highlighted are the islands, sea ice, selected oceans, and the time frame happens to be just 12 days. So basically it will satellite will rotate multiple times on Earth, and with every 12th day it is likely to cover that same spot twice. So basically that's a landmark for any satellite, because this is quite a new benchmark for covering Earth in the shortest possible time. So basically, like we had recent strategic mission Operation Sindoor, and we want to get the images of pinpoint, you could say air bases or any particular spot which has been targeted. So within 12 days, we are likely to get before and after images, which can help in substantiating our claims for, you could say, any collateral damage or whatsoever. So basically, you could say it will help in quick monitoring of any theme, like even if the ice sheets are melting at faster pace or sea level is likely to rise by few or centimeter due to the climate change, this particular satellite will give you the exact precision images. Now coming to the key features, once again you could say the main highlight of the synthetic aperture radar is being re-emphasized multiple times, time and again, and this data is from ISRO as well as from leading newspapers. So the key feature they have once again highlighted is that it's a dual frequency synthetic aperture radar, since it's a joint Indo, you could say US project. So both have collaborated by using two specific bands. NASA has contributed to L band, while ISRO has been competent enough in S band radars. So basically you will get the images from both the bands simultaneously, which will help in better resolution or augmenting our research. So you could say it's a dual frequency radar. It's one of the first for the world. Then coming to the high resolution and wide swath, it will scan 240 kilometers in one go at particular point, and it will map every single part of Earth within just 12 days. So basically they might try to confuse, they might say that the satellite does not rotate, satellite remains fixed at particular position, or they might just inflate the number of days. So make sure you are clear about this specific details, because in when we talk about telecommunication satellites, or you could say advanced communication satellite, they tend to focus on a single region, and they do not tend to rotate multiple times over the time period remains fixed at 24 hours. But here is what the difference lies. It is likely to rotate multiple times. And once again, the key feature continues to be that it will provide us all weather details, 24/7 imaging, and operates at through even through cloud cover to storm conditions, because of late the different type of disasters are unleashing their havoc in all parts of the world. No part can currently claim that it's immune to natural disasters or weather vagaries. So basically we can say in disaster management, this particular satellite could be a real game changer. Not so in preventing all disaster, but at least augmenting our efforts to have a genuine prediction, or at least monitor the scale of disruption which is taken place. So from Main's perspective also, the basic topic of what is the role of, you could say, remote sensing or earth observation satellites in socio-economic development can be asked. And it's already been asked in UPSC Mains few years back as well. Now coming to the specific objectives, even though in pre they might not be of too much of a use, but still you should be clear that whenever some advanced Earth observation satellite having synthetic aperture radar is being sent, they might ask what are the likely functions it is likely to cover. So they might try to confuse you with the navigation and the telecommunication part. So make sure you have a clarity that these specific satellites are designed for a particular task, and they are limited to do that over and over again till the expected timeline of 5 years. The first and foremost is that they will detect minute land and ice surface movements within centimeter level precision. So once again, as I highlighted before, the details are going to be pinpoint precision of just centimeter scale. Earlier, we used to get a superficial data. We tend to make some over assumptions, or you could say under assumptions of the scale of, you could say, changes taking place on Earth. But now with pinpoint precision at grade of centimeter, this is new level of scientific advancement where human beings can monitor pinpoint changes in various, you could say, themes. So basically, in UPSC also in land part, they had tried to confuse a few years back with one of the statement whether remote sensing satellites can monitor the dead and live tree cover. So basically the answer was yes. They also had tried to highlight whether these satellites can detect images during cloud conditions. And once again, the answer happens to be, if using advanced synthetic aperture radars, they are capable of getting the best possible images in those testing times. The second one is once again the main theme of the disaster management, and currently the main disasters which are having problematic from science and earth sciences perspective continue to be earthquakes, the floods which we are already witnessing in some parts, landslides in Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh, as well as in different parts of the earth would be better monitored. And also the seismic activity. We all know the Pacific Ring of Fire is always on word go, and we need to have a clear-cut data about these disasters. So we can say that the typically in prelims they will say that in which of the following themes is likely the NISAR is going to be most productive one. So make sure the option mentioning monitoring of disaster management or augmenting disaster management, that particular option has to be definitely included in the mix of things. Then coming to the third pass, the track changes in forest, glacier, wetlands, and soil moisture as well. So basically, this particular objective highlights the role of science and tech in environment and ecology broadly. So basically, we all know recently the forest survey report was out, India is showing incremental changes in, you could say, forest and tree cover from 19% to 21 to 23 to 25, which is our biennial report claims, continues to rely on the Earth observation satellites like Cartosat primarily. But this particular satellite is going to give you more accurate data as compared to our own Cartosat. So basically, we can say we can monitor the decline or increase in forest cover minutely. Also, the glacier, because we all know Himalayas are like a third pole, and current, you could say, Scrabble for Arctic has once again raised concern whether we would be able to save Arctic in the long term or not. So basically, these IPCC reports using such data, we are going to be more accurate, and they will hopefully alert world to the impending climate change disaster better. And in wetlands, you all know the Ramsar site topic continues to thrive. So basically, through satellites, we could say what wetlands are being threatened, because there is a Monterux record which continues to track wetlands of international importance and tries to highlight the themes. So we can say this particular wetland part is also an important dimension, and also the soil moisture, the groundwater monitoring of river, lakes, and oceans through pollution can be better analyzed through such data. And finally, it will augment agriculture, infrastructure, coastal climate management through, you could say, more accurate data. So basically, these are nothing new. These are all remote sensing basic, you could say, applications which we cover in our class lecture. In agriculture, the cropping pattern, which crop is under which field, what is the yield, and what are the agroclimatic planning, what is precision farming, how satellites apps can contribute. So make sure those all applications are there. In infrastructure, basically they try to link it with smart city project. Already there's a Bhuvan app which helps in better city planning, and in this particular setup, the new infrastructure projects can be monitored through, you could say, satellite, and we could track the progress at, you could say, global level as well, especially when the border skirmishes are taking place in India, China, Indo-Myanmar, or India-Pakistan border. So basically, such satellites can give you a bird eye view on, you could say, the infrastructure being raised on premises, especially as we have seen recently the Indus water treaty in picture, as well as Brahmaputra Dam, to be specific. And so basically, we can say you need to prepare this topic holistically. Make sure you go through the journey of Indian space program. IRS-1A was the first remote sensing satellite launched in 1988, and since then there is no looking back to ISRO. We have already have one of the largest constellation of remote sensing satellites in the world, which is catering to, you could say, plethora of services just highlighted in this particular segment as well. So make sure you also go through the list of collaborative projects where India and US have been part. Recently, in our current affairs series, we also covered about the historic, you could say, Artemis mission, as well as Shubhankar Shukla's International Space Station visit, and also the previous missions in which they both have collaborated for larger good. So we can say, amid all the tariff crisis, this is one of the silver spot, and examiners tend to focus more on positive aspect rather than the pessimist or negative themes. So hopefully, I hope you have now sufficient content. If there is a question on NISAR or remote sensing satellite, hopefully you will be in better position to answer that prelims question. So if you are having any specific query related to, you could say, this space segment topic, feel free to address in comment section. We will get back to the genuine ones shortly. So in this particular series, we will continue to upload particular themes from various sections, and we will try to be brief and discuss the important aspect from prelims perspective. So thank you very much, everyone. Have a nice day.